All right. So being lazy and making money is not something you hear together very much. It's very counterintuitive, but it's very interesting that the businesses that have been the most successful a lot of times have been created by somebody who's extremely lazy. So why is that? And why is that important? Because how is somebody who is very smart and not lazy able to lose to somebody who is still smart and lazy? Well, I think it's very interesting because there's a difference between someone who's dumb and lazy and somebody who's smart and lazy. I think the difference between the two is that a dumb, lazy person settles for inefficiencies within a system, whereas a smart person does not settle for inefficiencies within a system. Now, I'll give you an example of this. So, a while ago, I'd say maybe like 2 years now, I bought a course. It was about $20,000, right? And they told me to do about 4 hours a day of outreach. And I was way too lazy. I was not going to do that. I don't care who told me to do that. I was not going to do 4 hours outreach every single day. So, what I did instead is I spent the next 3 months creating an automation to do the outreach and also do it better. And all the coaches in that community told me I was stupid for it and crazy and that I wasn't going to grow my business because of it. But I ended up making more money selling the automation for that system because I was the first person to be able to automate it, than I would have if I just did the outreach, which is crazy to me, right? And that's where I really started to like realize, like, okay, the people that win in this game are the people that are lazy but actually do something about it. Now, it's also a very interesting point to note as well, because a lot of companies you see come from somebody who was struggling with something before, right? Like a lot of the software companies, it was somebody who was tired of doing something over and over again. So they created a solution to this. And they're like, oh, wait, other people might want this solution. So they started sharing it with people and then they started making a company out of it. So, how do you essentially become lazy in a way that's beneficial to you? And are we able to not settle for inefficiencies, right? So I think the core principle of it is number one, a base understanding of what an inefficiency is. So the way that you can identify what an inefficiency is within your business or whatever you're doing is to look at what takes the most time. And not only what takes the most time, but what is the highest impact on your business? What makes you the most money? It's called the RGA, so revenue generating activities, right? So what takes the most amount of time in relation to these revenue generating activities? Now, a lot of people you'll actually notice spend a ton of time doing non-RGA activities. Like it's crazy, and they wonder why they're not scaling. They have mental masturbation on what is actually moving the needle, and they fill themselves with busy stuff that makes them feel productive when it's really not productive. So that's a whole other conversation. But as far as looking at what actually does make you money and figuring out how do we make this more efficient. Now, the idea is obviously we can do things like outsource to a human, which is very possible. But how do we actually like kind of cut off the human error factor and make sure that we can automate things on our own? Now, the first step to automating any sort of system is to be able to identify its bare principles, right? So when I'm looking at automating something, I break it down to its raw form. So I'll give an example on the outreach system that I was creating. So give a background on it. I was helping web design agencies get more clients, and the best offer in at the time for web design agencies was looking at their website that they currently have. So if I'm the agency, I'd look at my prospect's website, and then I would create a free new homepage for them, probably spend a good 30 minutes to an hour creating it, and then I would publish that website, and then I would have to record a video of me going through the website and showing them and have my overlay of my video or like a Loom video on their website as well to show that I really made this for them. And then I would upload that to Loom. And then I would take the GIF thumbnail code, I would paste it in the email that I was doing for cold outreach, and then I would show them it via the email. And it would work really well. It was very, very strong because the quality was insane. Nobody else is spending this much time creating that much of value in a single email. And I thought to myself, like, imagine how valuable this would be to automate it. So back to the point, right? So what are the core fundamentals of what we need? Let's break down the system to its bare bones before we can automate it. So I'm going to need a way to generate a website that's really good and customized to the prospect. So that's number one. Number two, I'm going to need to be able to overlay a video onto their website that I make. So that's number two. Number three is I'm going to need to be able to automate the email sending, right? So number four would be, okay, now I need to personalize the copy. And then, so these are my foundations of everything that I need to bring together so I can identify those. Now, a lot of these foundations have subsets, right? So, okay, I need to generate a website. Well, it can't be a templated website because then perceived value goes to the ground and then my metrics go to shit, right? So how do I solve that? Oh, well, I need their data to be able to customize the website. How do I do that? Oh, I can do an HTTP request to go ahead and break down their website and send that to my servers to be able to create something personalized. How do I grab their logos and put it on this new customized website? How do I even create a website that's automatically generated? Oh, I can use a library on Webflow, so it automatically puts in the inputs from their website, and it's all based off of CMS, and then it auto publishes, right? So you can get the point. I could yap on a bunch of like technical stuff, but the idea is whenever you're trying to automate something and you are lazy, then just look at the bare foundations of what you need to automate the system and then create them. That is it. So long story short, after breaking down the raw needs of what I needed to do and then applying with the technical aspect to it, I was able to create one of the best the best email automation in the world for web design agencies. And it made me a lot of money, right? So this way, we were able to make the best email system for them, and the value was insane because of my laziness. I felt like there had to be a way to automate this long, extensive process, and understanding what's capable with technology, I was able to create something with it. So that is the kind of the key basis for being lazy and automating the things that you need to automate that take a lot of time, as long as they're high leverage. You identify the foundational things of what you need. You identify what are the sub foundations of that. So for example, we need to be able to customize the website. That'd be a sub foundation. Then we automate that. And then you bring it all together so that it is repeatable. So how are we able to give this to other people so they can use it, right? And that's really it. I guess a more holistic point of view of this is that you have to realize that you valuing hard work over thinking smarter is completely irrational, because the person who values thinking smarter and taking the shortcuts will always beat the person who tries to grind it out on their own. I mean, we have seen this through all of history. I mean, look at the Industrial Revolution. Look what that did to our economy. All that was huge efficiencies. And the person that was able to make those families are the richest in the world that we see now. So the people that are actually going to be market shifters, the people that are going to change the world, are the people who are lazy but are smart at the same time. Because time is the number one asset that anybody has. And lazy people value time a ton. So if you're able to combine your skills of competence and laziness and have the technical skills, or be able to outsource the technical skills to be able to create the automations to save the time, that is what's actually going to move the needle. And you see, this is why AI agencies, majority of them fail, because they're only focusing on the small things that aren't RGA activities, so revenue generating activities. They're focusing on small things like, oh, let's give you a little, like, I don't know, like a restaurant assistant that can answer calls. Like, yes, I can see how that generates revenue, but it's like everybody else is doing it too. So you have no value. But the people that are actually looking at what are the RGA that big companies, people with a lot of buying power, like what are they spending majority of their time on? The AI agencies that are going to create automations for that are the people that are going to kill. That's why you see AI agencies that are combining themselves with advertising agencies are absolutely killing it right now, because ads are very, very high revenue generating activities. And once you combine AI with that, then you have something that's extremely powerful, right? Even coming back to the offer. Actually, I can't get too much into that because it's something we're developing, but if you're able to learn how to develop an offer and combine automations with it, because a good offer takes so much experience and so much research to create a good offer. If you're able to automate that too, you will be very successful. So to sum all this up, look at everything that you are doing that directly contributes to revenue. See if you can automate it by breaking down their foundations and the sub-foundations and then stringing it all together and making it repeatable, and you will be extremely successful. There is nothing, I'm night seeing, And the most money I've ever made in my life was 30 grand a week. And I still have a long way to go. I have a lot to learn. But the one thing that has made me successful is being lazy by far, because every business that I have started, I was extremely lazy with anything that took a lot of repetitive work. And I made a solution for it and spent more time creating the solution that I would have had to just spend doing the work. But in the end, it made me more efficient than any of my competitors. And I think it's very easy for me to attribute my success to that over anything else, because that is the single thing that I've noticed has made me successful and made me money in the shortest amount of periods. So if you can learn this skill as well, you will see the same benefits by theory. That's all I have for you. If I gave you some value, you should totally subscribe. If I didn't give you value, definitely don't subscribe. But that's all I have for you. Hope you have a wonderful day.